welcome to our session today. We will talk about user interface development, especially in Java. We all love user interface, right? Who don't like a user interface? Working user, oh, okay. I see here, there's a lot of more back-end developers, right, Ingo?
Is it right? Who loves developing back-end?
Ooh, okay.
That's great. We mostly look out from a perspective of a back-end development.
Great beginning, all right. So in the beginning, who are we actually? I'm Lofi Dewanto. I'm working at the VK insurance company. This is an insurance company in Germany, in Cologne, especially the central. Working already a long time ago with Java 1.1 since 1997. So quite a bit, almost 30 years then. And I love one thing, Git, right? But I will tell you later on about that part. Ingo?
Yeah, we will discuss this later on. So I'm Ingo Düppe. I'm a software developer, I guess since 31 years. It sounds old. I hope it isn't. I starting with Turbo Pascal. Someone may know it. Back in the 90s.
Ooh, Turbo Pascal, that's good.
I came to Java on a booth in Munich by Borland on the booth, and I was working there, and they told me, oh, Delphi is nice, and Turbo Pascal is nice, but could you have a look at Java? And since I'm developing in Java, and 10 years ago I founded the Crowdcode company. We are a software agency. We develop and maintain all Java software and new Java software and push it into the new age. But this one we will discuss also later.
All right, and we are in Cologne and Münster connection, right? So we try to show you also some nice pictures about Cologne. I hope you all enjoy Cologne, right here, 3 days. And Ingo will also show you some few
pictures from Münster. Who knows Münster? Yeah. Wow,
okay. And, you don't have to talk about Münster then.
It is known, yes, it's a beautiful bicycle city. So my chosen home.
Okay, let's start. So as an agenda, we will talk very simple actually, right? The first wave, the second wave, the third wave. Okay, just very simple. We make a simple demo to show you what is actually the third wave of UI development, and make some conclusion and discuss with you.
Also, wait, you see the QR code, it's, what is it called?
The Slido code. Okay. If you have questions, please make a photo on that part. If you have the link of the Slido, you can just write some questions there, and we will try to answer the questions at the end. The first wave, the desktop, and as Ingo told us, this is our beloved Turbo Pascal, Born Delphi, and Visual Basic. This is also my generation, Ingo.
Yes, it was one of the first application what I developed based on I forgot the name, but it was it Turbo Vision?
Yeah, Turbo Vision. Like that's correct.
Turbo Pascal. Did someone tried it? Is someone that old?
Whoa, Turbo Vision, okay.
So that was the first one before Windows came out, but also after this Windows. And 95 was the birth of Java, also Delphi. 95 Delphi came out, and it was one of, I guess, still productive environment we had this time. And also, I don't think so that we reach this production level today already. But
yeah,
that's
really correct. A lot of things done very easily there. Okay, but we have to move away, and we have the Java 1.0, 30 years. There are all of you here to have a big, nice party for the 30s of Java. And at the beginning, it was an AWT. Right, and then it's come Swing. Swing looks nicer than AWT, lighter, and somewhere in the middle we see the SWT from Eclipse, right?
Yeah, that was quite a long distance, I guess, because in AWT, in Java, it was just simulating the icons, and it came to a better UI component library, the Swing library, but it has also the difficulty, because what is great at Java, it is write once, run everywhere. but what to do with the UI? That was a big question in the time. So Java application looks always like a Java application, but not as a native Windows application, Mac OS application. It wasn't called Mac OS in these times, but we had this problem. And one solution was SWT from Eclipse that binds a native implementation into the UI component for the different platforms.
Yeah. But do you think that SWT looks really native?
It looks really native like Eclipse, you know?
Oh, okay.
You could remember every application. Many RCP applications were built in these times.
Sorry? All right.
Yes, but the question was, does it look like? And that was always a different. Is it really because of Windows also moved around and switched their layout and their design style? And I guess everyone could recognize if some application was built by SWT or not.
All right.
But it was native for sure, and it was fast.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of IDE in that time, right? You have Visual Cafe is actually just a native Windows time. That was my study time, but a lot of things is still working with the same actually user interface. And then we have a JavaFX, right? And this is a rich client in Java. You have a skin builder for the JavaFX application, and we also have a transpiler, the WebFX, which we can take just as JavaFX application and transpile it into JavaScript, and it will run on the web browser. That's actually great. But what is your opinion about JavaFX, Ingo?
Wasn't it that Oracle was dropping JavaFX to lack of support? It was pushed out of the JDK once, and now it's the open
JFX.
JFX.
Correct.
Right. It is still, I guess, the best one to use if you like to develop front-ends with Java, because it has the capabilities of likely like CSS, and it has from a designer's perspective, more freedom to design beautiful applications. But I guess I don't know if it's really good to build applications that really looks like a specific platform.
All right. And now we just summarize it. We have such a development method. How do we develop the desktop? All of the things here we put it together is actually the things that are always happening in this development method, right? So we have a component-based. We have what you see is what you get editor with drag and drop in this time. You have a two-way tools. You can use a textual to describe your UI, and you can switch to the visual part, and you can switch back again. It's everything very smooth in that time. Visual development for components, that was also great, right? You can put a button on a panel, and you put it on your component palettes or something like that, and then you can reuse that very easily, right?
Yes. If you remember it, what we achieved with our IDEs in this time. To be able to say, okay, I like to start an application that has a dialogue, for instance, and you're putting your components together. You're putting some panel, and you put some label on it, some input field, some drop, some button, and then you say, okay, I need to reuse this one and put it on your component palette. And could you reuse it really in the same project and also in other projects?
Yeah, and everything is drag and drop, right?
Yeah, it's by drag and drop, visually editing.
Yeah.
And this is for me the big disappointment when I moved to Java, that I never saw this productivity again in an IDE. Also, if we tell today's JavaScript libraries that are really component-based, yes, the library is component-based, but we do not have the IDEs that supports this productivity in the component-based development for UI.
Okay, we talk about it later, right? In
Right.
the next wave, all right. So, and it's also important that on Windows we have always the absolute positioning of components, right? This made the design, of course, very easy because you have a position in X, Y position. And in Java, you have a layout managers. That's the beginning to make the design a lot more easier or nicer if you have different kind of screen solutions. But and also enabling the cross-platform support, but it will become more difficult, right? From how to work with that part.
Yes, but then the layout manager came up to handle this different screen sizes. You know, back in this time, at the end of the 90s, okay, it was great if you have 20 zoll display. It looks really great. The most one did have really smaller ones. And look at today. We have even smaller ones, and it's called mobile. But yeah, we must handle more and more different screen sizes. And one of the major advancement was that we figure out how to handle these different layouts, how to react UIs if you make it small or bigger.
All right. So today's we still use some desktop application. Just want to list here some things. You can read it afterwards. We still have a lot of desktop application. All right, so let's go. How to choose? What do we choose?
Just go one little back.
All right.
I think what we have to look at it is what is important to be still in a web application. Sorry, a desktop application, because of I think most of the enterprise applications are moving into the cloud and moving into be a web application. But there are still applications that is useful to be in a desktop application, and that are most these export systems like CAD development, support or video editing. I guess it will take time to be really a web application. Maybe with WebAssembly or some other technology, it would move into it, but I guess we need to keep in mind there's still a need to have some desktop applications also nowadays.
So how to choose? I would choose JavaFX today if someone asked me to build a desktop application, right? And also maybe Swing, because Swing is still very stable there, and IntelliJ and NetBeans still use Swing as a user interface. SWT is going or undergoing a major rework at the moment. I've read that they have a so-called Eclipse Initiative 31. So it means that they wanted to have just one implementation for all the three platforms, because they see it as a resources problem. So to maintain three kind of operating system, right? Like you have to maintain Mac OS, you have to maintain Windows, you have to maintain Linux, Unix, and they want to cut it down and then make it easier. Therefore, they call it Initiative 3.1, so 31, so 3 to 1. Right, but therefore, that's the point.
It looks like how to call it in English, a pig circle. First you try to make it single source, and you say, oh no, that's not working good, so you split it up and make it different sources, especially for the platform. You think about, three different sources, it's difficult to maintain, right? So you put it back into one source.
All right.
I guess the solution will be in between.
Yeah. All right. So this is just a very simple timeline of the history of Java Desktop. You can take a look at it, what we have talked to you. So it's actually not quite a lot of things happen in Java Desktop area, right? All right, so let's go to the second wave. This is the most interesting part, I think, in this talk, because this is the Cologne Dome, right? I hope you all already see this one. Okay, so why? Why is that, Ingo? Why is that we need web browser?
So what I learned from our customer back 20 years ago, why should we implement a web application instead of a native desktop application? It was to simplifying the distribution of the software. One KPI that you see is to install the application on one machine will cost you around €1. So if you need in the company to distribute your application one version for 40,000 clients, you had about cost of €40,000. And this is dramatically easier if you have a web application because of the browser already installed. And it may be just easier if it's not an EA6 or something like that. So it should be easier, let's say it this way. And I still believe it. So and the connectivity, you're not depending on what is installed on the application, on the desktop. You do not have these dependencies. It's just like a container that keeps your application, and you know what the container is like. It's a Chrome and Safari, so WebKit framework underlying it.
All right. So, but I think we forget something, Ingo. What about mobile apps? Because in that timeline, we'll see that the mobile applications and mobile apps is getting very spread out, right? So everyone has one.
Yeah,
right?
everyone has one, and the directive says mobile first.
All
and we already had the switch from desktop to mobile usage years ago. That you experience if you have a web page on it, that mobile is much more used than everything else.
Yeah.
So that means also we have the same discussion that we had years before. Is it better to write a single source to spread it over the different platforms, or do we use multiple sources and build native application?
Yeah, but don't forget, we also have a very successful Java platform in mobile apps, right? Android. What about J2ME? I remember that in that time I also worked with Vodafone in Düsseldorf to talk about how the J2ME standard will come to us, and every single simple functional mobile phone will get a J2ME virtual machine, right, in that time. And that time also, I remember that platform also selling the ringtones, right? So remember a platform which selling the ringtones? That was all J2ME based application, right, Ingo?
Who lose some money with ringtones back at this time? So, yes, yes, I heard about Java to Micro Edition, and that is or should be available. But does anyone implement an application on it? I never do it. Oh, one.
Oh, wow, okay.
Great.
J2ME implementation, great. All right.
So I guess I don't see J2ME brightly spread as an application foundation. What is about Android?
Oh, Android's everywhere, right? So it's actually Java programming language until I think Oracle sues Google for that, and then Google tried to move to Kotlin or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's so it's still the JVM. And I know is it on Android the JVM? It's just compiled, but if you develop in the Android Studio, you're using the JVM.
Correct.
I do not know the architecture.
You have a Delphic, right, on Android.
Okay.
Other different virtual machine. All right, so let's go back to our server-oriented UI presentation layer. Okay, this is the first time that we have a server-oriented web application, Servlet and JSP. That was the first standards we get from Sun Microsystem. And we also have here XMLC, and that time is very famous, XML2 or XML compiler. It compiled the whole HTML files to Java DOM, so you can separate the work of designer and the work of the programmer. This is the first time we thought about, oh, okay, we have to separate the work of designer and also the work of programmer, because they don't match. You know, the programmer cannot make a nice design, and the designer doesn't want to implement the UI logic and so on, right?
Yeah, that's, now we have mostly back-end developers here in the room. Okay. But if if you speak to designer, oh, who did this? Yeah, that designed the developer, the front-end developer. And I don't know how often I need to talk to a front-end developer. No, we need a designer. if you can manage it to get in a real designer into the application development, also the developer, the front-end developer, that's my experience, recognize, okay, it looks, I don't know why, but it looks better.
All
And
right.
it's important. And the question is all the time, how to smoothly integrate designer and web developer into the projects. So that design thinking of how to set up the web pages, the dialogues, doesn't disturb the development process.
Correct.
And vice versa. That's
And this is
still a
great.
huge problem.
And XMLC makes this happen at the time. That's very, very nice. And afterwards, we get the WebWork. It's actually the foundational work for...
WebWork? What was it?
You don't remember WebWork?
No.
I think the guy from Jira, what is his name? Forget the name, from Australia. They did it, the action-based web framework at the time.
Oh, was it this the foundation for Struts 1?
Yes, that was the foundation for Struts 1, and we see all the Struts 1s with the .do, you know, if you see the web browser, the suffix of .do, that will be the Struts 1 part, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us, I hope, also using Struts. I use a lot of Struts in that time.
It was a great success, no?
Yeah, very great success, yes, of course.
Who else was asked last year to migrate a Struts 1 application? So it's still in use and still development, yes.
Yeah. It's great, but we have also Struts 2, but it doesn't work that like Struts 1, right? The Struts 2, it doesn't get very successful at it.
I never worked with that one.
Okay, so really very seldom. And then in that time you have Tapestry, you have Wicket, still maintained until today. I think Wicket has its 10 or 20 birthday. It's very crazy, but it's still maintained and also used everywhere. And GSF, it will come then as a standard in that part, right?
Yeah,
from Java.
You need to remember it. From 2000 until, I guess, 2006, when JSF was released, it was a really rush on new Java web frameworks. In some years, you have the feeling that each time the Java magazine was published, it has a new framework, telling you that is better than all that we have before, and you should use this one. There were so many frameworks on it.
But we see it today, right? With the JavaScript frameworks or TypeScript frameworks. Well, every week you have a new framework. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the hype is going down, but a few years ago it feels also that every time a new JavaScript framework is coming up and telling you, okay, that's a better solution of it.
Yes. And of course, we still have Spring MVC with the time weave, and then of course Vaadin. Before we just have Vaadin, but now they have two separate things: the Vaadin Flow, which is completely server-based and Java-based, and the Vaadin Hira, I think, which connection with or combination with React.
Yeah, maybe some words to Java server faces. That was really the first one that standardized a web framework. We have Servlet and JSPs before, but that wasn't a web framework because many points that you need to handle, like error handling, page floating, and so on, that wasn't handled by Servlet and JSP. It's just, okay, this is the page you want to look at it, but the life cycle behind it wasn't. And JSF was the first one that came up and was part of the Java EE standard. Now the Jakarta server faces its called back, renamed it. And from my perspective, it also was one of the greater disappointment, at least of the JSF1, because it was published and they said, now we have a component-based development backend UI for the web. And there was the Java, how it called, Sun Java Web Studio, something like that, that you can visually edit. Okay. But still there's a lack of it. And if you really like to build a good UI component library that you can edit and develop visually, you need to do two things. that we did in the 90s, but forget in everything after 2000. Your component needs to handle two modes. It is a runtime mode, so how does the component display within your application? But also you must be able to say how does the component display if you are at the editing mode in the development. So you can edit it and move it and around. And this distinguish did Borland with Delphi and some other IDEs, but that wasn't the way how JSF worked.
All right. So let's move further, and we have to take a look at the time, because we still need to, talk about the third wave, right? So, development server-oriented is actually simple. You generate the HTML, you go back there to deliver that to the browser. You have a model view controller, and once we also have a Dreamweaver, nice tools for drag and dropping for the whole user interface, but it doesn't, I think, getting popular like today. And then we have a decline of the server-oriented UI because of AJAX. What is AJAX?
It was washing soap? No?
No?
It's asynchronous JavaScript and XML.
All
so
right.
it is pulling out the data from the web page, getting a call to the server and getting some data and put it and manipulate it in the JavaScript directly in the DOM and changing something.
So the application looks very interactive afterward, right?
Yeah, that was the birth of jQuery.
All right, jQuery. So we have a lot of things there, correct? We have jQuery, and today we also have, of course, Angular Vue React, right? And at the time, the browser is, of course, the basic of everything there, and you see here that JavaScript is the language. So therefore, a Java solution in that area is getting declined, right? So you always have JavaScript or TypeScript later on. But we still have some small area where we can use GWT. This is the Java to JavaScript transpiler, or today also the Jekyll, this so-called Java to Cursor compiler. And we also G Suite, TVM, JRGP. You can take a look at everything on internet. Quite interesting idea, actually. Yeah, but I will show you here because I'm also working in the community of GWT. Everyone's saying, because GWT is dead, right? So it's always what? The Google Web Toolkit is already dead.
I told you. But you still like to get it back to life.
Yeah.
So who is using GWT?
Sorry.
Or did use GWT? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 4.
All right, good.
So it's still
there, right?
in memories, yes.
Memories, okay, that's good. But before we go to there, we have just a short reference architecture. So we have the client side with all the stuff, server side UI, and then also we have the client web browser stuff UI, right?
Yeah. If you just a moment. If you look at the architecture or how applications are built and UI applications are built, you can take it and design it for a Swing application. It looks nearly the same. Or if you split it with a web front end and a Java backend. The important part is how does it look like, the UI. Then you have this validation, direct validation. That was the reason why we like to have AJAX, to be able to instantly give the user some feedback and not just make the turnaround to the server on the full page. And JGoodies, back in the times from Swing, they introduced it. There is some kind of UI business logic that defines how the rules are. If you have a complex dialogue, which one is able, which one is not able, and you had to implement it. I think you can see it in the nowadays, and for instance, in Angular, if you write the page component or the component, that this logic is put into these Angular files.
All right. So let's go for a short demo, this one. Grid, state of the art. We write everything in Java. We transpile automatically to JavaScript. We debug everything in Java. And latest release is March 3rd of 2025. And we're getting started very easy, actually, with Vaadin archetype. I will just show you here.
So it's still alive?
It's still alive, really still alive. It's quite simple thing. You generate everything. You have the client server shared. I will just show you how to change something. Let me see. Oh, where is it? The things? Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
that one.
You need to do.
Right. This is actually the starter project. I just reload it. It's just automatically compiled. You can send something, and you can see here on the right side on the web browser, you have the source maps. So you can everything debugging, looking at the whole stuff directly in Java. Right. You don't have to take care of the JavaScript stuff. So we just make a send. Okay, it's good. Okay, this is too small. I changed something in the code, right? Just make some changes there. Okay. Just saying send to JCon, the button name. Make a reload here. They make the transpiling thing, and you have the send to JCon. So it's completely based on Java, and you have the source map, everything. You can debug here directly. You see, then you can stop here. Everything's really actually very nice.
So it's the same feeling for a Java developer as one who develops with TypeScript, with the TypeScript framework like Angular, React, and
correct.
So it's possible.
Okay, that's just for a short excursion. But now we make a summary of development of method with browser-oriented. JavaScript is the language, and therefore also the JavaScript framework is actually the king in this area, right?
Yes. So JavaScript, we can get rid of it. Most of them use today TypeScript in this way to build bigger application, to be more secure in it. But the browser is a platform for sure, and it will, I guess, a long time stay. And also for mobile, we have this JavaScript to native mobile application to keep things easier and single source based. And there are also some architecture specification to modernize and to modularize these application like web components.
Correct. All right. So just to inform you, there's some kind of web micro-frontends, but I think because of time, we just want to take a look at the future, right? And we have a self-contained frontends also in this case. Now, how to choose? I would say as a Java developer, I just take the simple solution. Vaadin flow is very simple, integrated in Java. You don't have another stack. And if you need to work with the browser directly, you can take Grid. You can transpile the whole things in JavaScript. You still stay in Java at the end. And I would firstly try to implement in server-oriented because most of us doesn't create application which should be accessed by billions of users, right, Ingo? So we are not Google, right?
Maybe or maybe not. Okay. But you also can see in the frames in modern version all the UI benefits that you see are going into the component. So if you pick up a modern JSF prime phase implementation, these components are very interactive. No? But yes, it depends on what you are doing, and it depends on what is your team capable of. No?
Yes.
So it enables you to reduce the amount of your tech stack, which you need to do and to learn and to handle.
All right. There are other approaches, just for information, right? Because I think we have to take a look at the time, right? And Java developers, I would say, stay within the Java and its ecosystem. It's quite easy to do that. So if we can make a summarize for the whole web browser development time and so on, and you can see here to compare with the Java desktop, it's crazy. You have a lot of frameworks developed, and you see here at the end, it's only until extend this until 2019.
It was the
So-
dawn of the AI.
Yes, 2019. So today is 2025. So the JavaScript stuff is a lot more things to do. So this is really crazy. Yeah, that's actually the state of the art of web development today in JavaScript. But now we go to the third wave. This is hopefully our last wave, no, Ingo?
Yes, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. There's something that is called the last architecture. I don't know if this will be the last one.
All right. So actually, why is actually working with developing web application very complicated? Why? That's actually the point.
Yep, I heard a lot of the back-end development as a complicated one. I think you need to think about more about algorithm and complex state diagrams if you are doing complex UI development because of the state handle. And you have the user who is entering something totally different than you expected or using it in a different way that you expected. Enter data not in the format you expected. Yes, it begins with the date format. Is it an American way or is it a German way format? So it's really difficult.
All right. So before LLMs, we have this point. Computers couldn't process unstructured conversation, right? So we have such a form application just on the right side. This is also typical in insurance, right? You have a lot of forms, you have to fill in everything, you have to validate everything, etc., etc. Yeah, so structured input required always forms, GUI or APIs, yeah, so the machine can parse the whole thing. So output needed is of course always a structured data, so we save it in a relational database or so on. And from that part we can generate contacts, contracts, reports, etc., etc. So the point is before we have LLM, we have to put everything in a structured way, and therefore we have such a forms application.
Yeah,
right?
And who didn't struggle with such a form that, oh, I need to enter some data, but I do not have it. I need to cancel it and go 5 steps back, select the data and enter this form again because it has this structured way of getting the data you need to put input. And we as a human do not work like this.
Correct.
We're working unstructured.
Yeah. This is just a simple example with just one form, right? Normally you have 20, 30 pages of forms, and you have to move from 1 to 2, go back to the first, and so on, right? So this is very, very complicated. Also, the development of it is not easy because we have validation, and validation can happen only for 1 field or 10 fields, right? So you have a lot of different kind of validation in this form, right? So, but now, today, everything is chat, right? We see that with the LLMs, we can put everything as a voice, text, image, video, just unstructured, and LLM will extract that information for you, right? So you get everything, entities, relationship, intents, whatever, the structured part, data, it will get extracted through with the help of LLM. And that is the point. Is this also your dream, Ingo?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
we are just backend developers, so it's fine.
This is all backend developer, right? So no problem at all. But
But I don't think so.
you don't think so?
I don't think so.
All right.
I guess it will, in some point, will be still important to have designers, to have UI, UX designers. For instance, don't build forms with more than hundreds of fields. That's not usable.
Okay. So again, we have the input with simple chat, conversation, text, voice, video, image. We always need the visual feedbacks, interaction, and these visual feedbacks can be generated by LLMs today, right? If you have a form, just say, hey, generate the whole summary of my data you have extracted from me, and it will generate a nice picture with a formula with all the data inside. Or you can also say using tools in such a LLM to to take out the whole component development and put the component on the web browser, for example. Yeah, they also update some visual feedbacks using a today's UI framework, but it's getting easier because you only work, at least for the formula application, you only have static feedback, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to have the whole validation, you don't need to have the whole state management, you don't need to have the UI logic or something like dynamically put something into a form. We will still have interactions such as drag and drop, gesture-based movement, but it depends, of course, on the application type, right?
Yes, the important part of it here is, I believe, or we believe, that chat and voice is not the efficient way to interact. So there will be some kind of UI still, and you do not just talk to your application.
All right. So we have only 5 minutes, Ingo?
Okay.
We have to take a look at the demo, I think, because it's too boring if we don't show the demo, right? Who will see the demo? You see? Come, Ingo, let's go. Just go for the demo.
So
forget the theory, we just go for the demo. All right.
Just for the demo. So, just a small one. The situation is that we think of, we have a small Spring application, and due to Lofi, the use case is some kind of insurance. I like to have some travel insurance, and here's the prompting what we use for the LLM, that it says, okay, we have a specific, the LLM should act like an insurance agent, and it should ask me for some questions like my date, where I'm living, and so on, to give me the options of different travel insurance. It's currently running all local with LLama 3.3. It's we have a UI, but it's ugly, so I don't show it. It is in
come on, this is a UI session actually, Ingo, right?
So, yeah.
We don't show UI, and it's a UI session. Okay, but
I am let's say Paul Johnson, living in 7788 Cologne, at the Bahnhofstraße 83. Let's see what happened. Some issue, but ignore it. It's just a missing dependency on the current. So the memory will get up. So what is happening currently, the LM is filled up with it. That is just to be independent and just running on the notebook and not having any server in the background. Hopefully it's getting better now. If we reach 90%, we also could get an answer of it.
Yeah.
So what we originally did or would do is to build up a formula where we enter these data. But now I just said, okay, I live in Cologne, and give my address, give my name, and maybe someone who recognized it isn't the right zip code for Cologne. So our expectation is that we see an answer. It's a demo. It's a live demo. You see it. You see nothing. That's a good
you have
guarantee.
to push escape, maybe. I don't know, because it's still you. What's the already there.
I oversaw it.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. So he said, "Oh, that's pretty nice. No? Hello, Paul Johnson. Starting. You provided your address. However, notice it's not correct." So that is something that is really complicated to implement it in the classic way. So I don't know my zip code. Please look it up. So the state, the communication, is handled in the LLM.
Yeah.
and I give just by chat the information to it. It depends on the prompting. The performance is based on what your hardware is capable. So, and he make here some suggestions, and now says, oh, please give me the phone number.
Yeah, this make everything easier, right? Also in the development, you can separate the development of the conversation using Open Web UI, for example, with connecting to the Olama part, and the developer can just build the chat UI, right? So this is very easy to go for simple or complicated form applications.
Yeah, so I do not like the format, but yeah, that's a discussion with the LLM. I guess everyone knows of it. So I may show me the data. And if it prompted correctly, or if you put it into the application, you would call it a different way and say, okay, I have this is the information I got, this is the context I got. I like to have it in structured data now from the LLM to push it into the application.
Yeah. We only have 5 minutes, Ingo, so.
So I switch back. So the question was initially, so where are the front-end developers in the future time? So what do designers, UX designers, and front-end developers do if they think in design systems? One of the, from my opinion, best approach is the atomic design system that breaks down a UI into different parts, from the smallest as atoms to over the molecules. That is something that has some interaction to the organism, to the templates of different pages, to a concrete page. And this can be break down, what is an atomic, what is a molecule. And if I look from this perspective, I would say, okay, most of it, the LLM will generate on it. So it could generate these templates, this page, because if you have more like a chat flow in it. On the other hand, it is not efficient if an LLM always generates all these small parts and the interactive parts always again and again, because it just uses the Scratch, the HTML, and JavaScript. So it may use some component libraries to generate it efficiently. And that's what I say, the pre-created by UI UX development on this part. And this is where you can distinguish your application, your AI-based application from other things.
All right, this is how we see at the moment the two type of chat application, right? You have on the left side the flow part, as if you are working with ChatGPT, you can chat something, type something, you get the visual feedback, you can interact with the result, and then you chat again. It's just like a flow, like a chat flow. On the right side, we see it a lot of time in IDE today. You have in the middle, you call it a visual feedback and interaction. On the right side, you have the chat, for example, on the left side. So you can combine everything together. And there are a lot of examples like this. If you come to the next one, the GPT canvas mode is also such a example. So you see this two type of UI development is getting very famous, right? So very popular. And okay, this is the development. So let's go to the conclusion, Ingo.
Okay. One thing back with the how agentic AI or AI application will be built from my perspective is you already know, okay, the business application has some API, you need this model context protocol to call and discuss it. But maybe if you look at the front-end development part, there will be some kind of UI UX language that the LLM use to build unique and differentiating experience for the user with this interaction part that is not text and that it's not voice.
All right. So these are the tools we use today. Okay, just take a look at lots of more things. We have the demo, right?
We just saw it. So our conclusion.
Yes. Yeah, I see that that's a different kind of a development process. If we have a chat like today, and we will need to be transformed to that part, so the front-end developer will be completely different in the future, in my opinion, right? So
yeah, I guess we have a shift from the orchestration is in the business logic, or in the front application logic, will be going to the LLM, into the agentic AI application that says, okay, what should I display now? What interaction will I give the user? And when do I think I have the specific state reached? So I call the application. That is a clear move that I see for the applications. And the spot where the future of software developer for front-end UI is in these parts of user interactions to define in type, on the one hand, the dialogue structure, how the LLM talks to one. That is one part, this prompting, but on the other hand, you have these interaction parts that still be looking like something like this one. You know it from Minority Report. You're talking to an AI, you look at, for instance, a hologram or something like augmented reality. But these parts that you are using from an AI, UI architect, this is what front-end developer from our perspective will do in the future.
Okay, but I hope that the future doesn't look like that, right? Because they're both of us, we generated from our photos, and they will be us in the future. Ingo, hope not.
Hope not.
All right, then thank you very much for your attention, and any questions?
I don't know if...
No, we are finished. No,
okay.
no time at all, right?